so there was a lot of competition. We were still doing good. 2020 we had a great year. 2021 we actually had a great year too. But then 2022 was the rough year. Markets kind of bottomed out towards the end of 2021. There was so much competition of trading groups. It was very spread out. Thank God we had good word of mouth, and we were able to survive, but a lot of other groups did not. And now there's very little trading groups out there again, which I'm sure when Bitcoin starts pushing 80K, you're going to see more influencers with more groups again. But I'm very proud to know that we've been open for 4+ years. It's very rare for a trading group to be open that long.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Founders Forum podcast. Today we have a very special guest. We have Artur Merabian. He is the founder of Stock Unlocked, and I will say, out of all the guests we've had, we've not had a setup like this.
No, you win.
I love how you have like on this third, you have the bull and the bear in the background, and you have a bull. What does that mean?
This is made out of copper. I actually got this in Florence for some good luck. Yeah, it's really heavy.
You got the Shure mic. You got us on the bottom corner. Like we gotta step up our game here, bro.
I'm all ready, dude. I'm ready.
I just want to start by saying I still remember the first time I met you. I think this was when I was still kind of introverted, like pre-Hollywood Gregory, and we were at our friend Louis' birthday, and you just pulled up, bro, with like all this energy, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like the whole time you're just like so on it and like just socializing with everyone and like with the life of the party. So I was like, who is this guy? And
was it the Halloween party?
Yeah, like a pre-Halloween party where Louis
where I was and I was dressed up as Willy Wonka.
Exactly.
I remember. Yep. I remember all the details. Yeah, it's okay. We don't got to go any further.
Exactly. I was trying to leave some part of that. But yes, exactly. But anyway, thanks for joining us, bro. This is called the Founders Forum because we really like to hear about owners of companies. People kind of know you probably as the investor person and always asking you about trading advice, but we meet with a lot of different business owners, and it's really cool. We're in like year 2 of operating our own business. As you know, we had 9-to-5s in the past, and I really like to dig into like, the entrepreneurial journey, if that makes sense, and not just like, oh, how do you trade, or like, what do you buy, and
right.
What are the strategies. So one of my first favorite questions to ask is, what was your first ever job?
My first ever job, if we don't count working for my dad, since that was just like a cash job, it was at Hollywood Video, a video movie rental store chain that doesn't exist anymore.
Okay. And you're like doing everything, cashier, stocking?
Yeah, I was just restocking back DVDs and organizing the candy.
Nice. Nice. So do you have a favorite movie then?
Basically any good rom-com.
Oh, okay.
Definitely maybe Love Actually, PS I Love You.
Love Actually. Okay. All right, a little Eat, Pray, Love out here. I like it.
Yep.
Outside. Okay, I see it.
Age of Adeline.
Oh,
good
okay.
One.
All right. Mm-hmm. Bringing out the niches. I like it.
I think one of the things that kind of you and I kind of connected over the years as well, especially during the pandemic, is the ideal of being able to work remotely. I was traveling heavily during the pandemic. I guess I could say that. And it's cool because part of why we chose what we're doing, which is like online marketing, is that we can do it remotely and travel at the same time. So I'd love to hear more about, did you get into this kind of company and industry because you knew you could also build it remotely, right? Not have a brick and mortar or a building you need to buy or, a restaurant. Like, was that part of the decision process there?
It definitely was. When I was transitioning out of nightlife as a VIP concierge, I was going into the influencer marketing because that was a new tactic just being done in Vegas, where they would, bring in the popular folk and they would make posts about the nightclubs. And then I was 6 to 8 months in, and then I realized, well, even though all of like the work is online via email, like I still need to be on site. I still need to meet with the owners, and it wasn't giving me the flexibility that I wanted. And when I was still involved in those 2 businesses, I was trading in the morning, and from like 5 to 7, 8 a.m. was kind of like my happy place because no one was awake, no one was texting me, and I was trading, and it was so fun. And I was able to do that in Mexico when I went on a trip with Louis, which is how we met, and ended up like during that week hitting kind of a big trade. I'm like, man, that's awesome. I just paid for like my whole week, and I was here. I'm like, I should probably really focus in on what I enjoy doing and double down on that.
Yeah. Wow.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of, I think about when I think about trading, it's like sometimes I feel like it's better to lose big first, because I feel like when you hit big, you're like spoiled by that result,
Right.
But cool, man. Yeah, I also wanted to ask, like, so I actually, we don't really keep in touch as much anymore, but at what point did you transition from like trading to like, let me build a company around that, right? Because I think what I've noticed with a lot of entrepreneurs is they'll start off as, we read this book, I keep bringing this book up, it's called The E-Myth Revisited. It basically follows a pie maker, and her aunt teaches her how to make pies, and she loves baking pies, and then eventually she's like, I want to build a business around baking pies. So I'm sure there's a transition when you're like, oh, okay, I'm trading, I'm doing well, let me build a business around that. Can you tell me more about like how that arc came about?
Yeah, so I had the nightlife business going. That was running. It was taking care of itself, but it was draining me. And then when we were doing the trading business, we opened the business in 2020 when I moved to LA already, and I was already gung-ho set on the trading business and sold the other ones. But the real I know, it may sound bad at first, but I was like, man, we could definitely make a lot of money out of this. I don't know why other people weren't doing it, but I saw some sports handicappers who were selling their sports picks, and one guy was selling it for $5,000 a month, and 1 month he posted like $1.6 million, and I was like, well, I know my mentor is definitely smart enough to be able to pull in that type of capital to give his trade knowledge out.
Yeah.
So the business was originally very focused around Blastar. Before, who's my mentor? That's his nickname online. So the business was really going to be focused around him, his teaching, and his skills, and I was going to basically do operations. And then I just fell in love with trading so much more and more and more, and then I naturally just became a pretty good teacher because I had my friends joining. I was teaching them. I was noticing that I was learning how to trade a lot better as I kept teaching. And then the service went from, just selling someone's like stock picks to a full education system, a full community where we do live calls every week. We do the whole course. So just kind of changed from make extra side money as a side business to, wow, like we really love this. We just need to focus on this only. And then I never touch the Las Vegas businesses again.
Oh, wow.
You mentioned about being a good teacher, and I can attest to that. And one of my favorite things about teaching are people who know how to do good analogies. And obviously, before I met you, I knew a little bit about trading and different strategies, but I realized you were a good teacher when you brought up the Thanos method, and because it's a great analogy, right? And it's cool because I remember, I think, telling Kayla about it as well.
I think I remember this actually, yeah.
And it's easy to remember because it's like infinity stones, different colors. Once this happens, snap,
Yeah.
So I think that's super, super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I'm curious too, because I know self-admittedly very little about business, and I know even less about trading, but I think that both can be extremely stressful at times. So was the function of moving into teaching a way to kind of keep this consistency, this consistent cash flow or revenue, while maybe trading is more, volatile? Or was it just like, oh, I think I'm a good teacher and this is the natural progression?
It was more so I looked around just the whole, if I guess, ecosystem of what was out there for me to learn. And I must have bought every single subscription you could think of for a good year or two. Yeah. And I realized there's just so much information out there because there are so many ways to trade. But it's just so scattered. And something that I didn't know is if, you learn one strategy, it might not work in a certain market environment. And then you just move on to the strategy because you think it doesn't work, but it's really not. And what I was learning was all the information out there was just, here's all this information, do with it with what you need. And I just wasn't learning that way. And me being the competitive person I am, I was like, I know I can beat all these products if I just make a better product and just focus on it. So that's kind of how it went. And then too, what I noticed with what a lot of the other like courses and systems were doing is, let's say there's 20 indicators. There's way more. They'll teach all 20, and then I was actually doing the same thing in my first few courses. And then I realized, wait, why am I teaching like 20 different indicators when I use like 4 or 5 in my day-to-day? Like I never use the other ones. So we're like, let's cut out all the stuff that we don't use. Let's only teach the stuff that we use day to day, because what's good is teaching someone something if they ask me how to use it and I'm like, oh, I don't even use it. So it's like, why even waste my time to teach them that? So it was just a mixture of seeing what's out there, being competitive. I always liked entrepreneurship and running a business, and because I sold my biggest Vegas business, I didn't have any other business to grow in. I was only trading for a year, like alone. And then like, I just got kind of depressed after a while, because there's nothing to do after 8 or 9 a.m. except just spend your money or smoke weed and watch movies. But it's like, what else do I do with my time? So I needed to do something more productive and something that I could scale. And I really love to be a part of the team, and the team that we have trusted me to lead. And I take that with, I don't know what the word is, but I take that with like a pretty heavy conscience maybe. So it's, I really care about it.
Yeah. I have like so many questions just on that. I'm getting hyped now. So first of all, let me go back a little bit. Do you know, you said nightlife. Do you know Artur Villar? He's like a promoter. He's a promoter in LA. We've had him on the podcast. He's a good friend.
Wait, Artie?
Hardy, like he goes by Hardy.
Oh, Hardy. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Cool. Sure do.
Yeah, he's on our podcast. He actually comes out once a month, and we kick it out here. So just thought I brought that up. Subscriptions. Oh, so on the entrepreneurial journey, that's really cool that you said that, because I feel like when people get into business, whatever it is, whether it's trading or like vending machine or like marketing or whatever, a common thing to do is like, how do I learn this, right? And it's super refreshing to hear that you said you bought every single course out there in a way, because I think that's one of the things we struggled with in the beginning, right? It's like, how do we learn this thing? And like, which course is it? There's like so many courses, and it's not, I think part of the journey that we've learned from other friends is they did the same thing, right? If they are starting an agency, they bought like 10 courses and really only like one was really good. And that's like part of the filtering process. And I think it's super admirable that you kind of took that problem in the beginning of entrepreneurship and turned it into your business, which is really, really cool to me. So speaking of building a business, I'm curious, what is one thing that you would not recommend people do on year one of their business, now knowing what you know 4 years in?
Oh, don't spend that money because you have an amazing first year. You never know what's going to happen the next few years. Yeah. And learn that lesson. I got one more too.
Yeah,
don't hire soups. Don't hire really fast. As soon as we started blowing up, I was hiring nonstop. We went to a team of 12 employees. We have half of that right now, and we have way more customers, and we're doing just as fine.
That's awesome.
Two big ones right there.
Yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit because we really resonate with that. You want to do the one of them?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we had, I think the same exact thing happened to us when we first started. We're like, oh man, we have like this cash flow, and like this is a perfect time to like spend it on people and like delegate stuff. And what we realized was that like, oh my gosh, sometimes you don't need to delegate that quickly. Number one, because your systems aren't built, or two, you really don't need that many people to get one job done. Like, how many V's does it take to change a light bulb? It's really only one. So I'm curious then, like, what was kind of your system at the beginning of like, how did you hire, and what were some of the main things that you learned along the way to kind of narrow it down and focus it to now this very agile, like, team of 6?
So we are broken down into 3 subcategories, right? We have stocks, we have crypto, and then we have the niche category Web3, which I like to keep separate from the crypto, because when I think crypto, I think strictly like cryptocurrencies and trading the crypto.
Yeah.
Whereas the Web3 side is like the blockchain technology, it's the airdrops, it's finding new coins with new tech, it's the NFTs, it's all that. So as we were growing, we were going to tons of conferences throughout the years. I was finding just talented people around the world who kind of met our moral compass. And then whenever one let's say department like crypto was getting very busy and we needed more people just actively talking all the time, then I was like, all right, well, let me hire someone for like maybe the off hours that, you know, the team on the West Coast is maybe not active. I had I can either have the team on the East Coast, or I had a guy in the UK, I had a guy in Colombia, I have a guy in Ecuador. So I was just trying to make sure that all time zones were covered.
Nice. Yeah.
And while people love to talk, I couldn't understand my churn rate was dropping, but it's because I'm sorry, my churn rate continued to go up, and I was like, this is weird. I have more and more staff talking to more and more people. I thought it would do the opposite thing, but what I learned is there was no like follow-up system in place when someone just joined, you know, like a weekend's like, hey, like, you know, I know it's very overwhelming at first. Like, what channels are you using? Where are you confused? So instead of having, you know, 4 or 5 people just chatting away as kind of, you know, just to keep the engagement or fluff going, I just focused down on 1 or 2 guys reaching out to every new member nonstop for the first 6 months. And then Greg, we started that system probably after you. We probably started that system like a year and a half ago. And now it's like you join, and like if you're not replying back to us, we start bugging you, and then I'll start texting you too. I'm like, yo, where you at in the Discord?
I love that you said that, because when you were mentioning that, I was like, that's what I felt like.
Yeah.
I was like, this girl, like, where do I go? Like, who do I talk to?
Right.
So, I really love that you said don't hire fast. I think Jeff Bezos said something like, I'd rather hire no one than the wrong person. So that's
right.
I'm actually
I think another famous business expression is hire slow, fire fast, right?
Yes, exactly.
Definitely.
I think the Hermosis and the Grant Cardones, they do this thing where they what did they say? They always like fire the bottom 10% and always reward the top 10%, because it's like just making sure that there's like this competitive nature of greatness, and then like getting rid of the fad. But I don't think we're that ruthless yet. But,
no, not yet.
I do wish I had been sometimes throughout the years.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be.
You mentioned don't spend all of your money at first. So I'm curious, because I think you came in somewhere, Stock Unlock came in near the middle of the pandemic, right? And so in your business model, I feel like there are business models like the restaurants who got fucked going into the pandemic, right? Because but you said that you think you spent a lot in the first year and you didn't have a good year following that. That seems, is that because you were exiting the pandemic, or like why was year 2 not as good as year 1?
So a little bit different actually. So you know, we started bringing in friends and family in 2019. We were already studying and building in 2019. Ironically, we ended up launching like mid of the worst time of the pandemic. We launched September, officially grand opening was September 13th of 2020. And then soft launch was 1 month before that, August of 2020. And then I had moved to LA in January 2020. And the first year we did good because everyone wanted to be a trader, right? So everyone wanted to be a trader, but on the other side of that knife, everybody wanted to be a trader. So everyone was starting trading groups, even people that, I like to make fun of some of the COVID traders that, you know, after everything dropped, you could have thrown money anywhere and everything made money. Like it was almost impossible to lose money after summer of 2020.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of competition. We were still doing good. 2020, we had a great year. 2021, we actually had a great year too. But then 2022 was the rough year. Markets kind of bottomed out towards the end of 2021. There was so much competition of trading groups. It was very spread out. Thank God we had good word of mouth, and we were able to survive, but a lot of other groups did not. And now there's very little trading groups out there again, which I'm sure when Bitcoin starts pushing
Exactly.
80K, you're going to see more influencers with more groups again. But I'm very proud to know that we've been open for 4+ years. It's very rare for a trading group to be open that long.
Yeah. I mean, I think the average is like business don't even break even until like year 2 or 3. So
yeah,
it's cool you're going on year 4.
Yeah. Okay. I'm actually curious too. With having, I would say, my understanding of shifting this into more of an info product with the course, I'm curious, like, how do you actually differentiate yourself from these other platforms? And like, I guess if there's one thing that comes to mind that's like, oh damn, I wish I could figure this out today. Like, what would that something be?
that one something is just one simple strategy that's very easy to understand. Like I think that that would be the thing. But to really touch up on that last point too, with my nature of the business, and I think this is fitting for other businesses too, is things come in momentum, and I didn't learn that until in 2022. It's probably similar for businesses that kill it during, let's say, like all the holidays, because they sell maybe a holiday decoration, so they have 4 months to make all their money. What I learned in my industry, I'm like, when the market is not moving nonstop, people's psychology is think, okay, I'll wait, because people just love to chase the pump. And I notice we get busier when the market's pumping. When the market's slower, when people are learning and positioning themselves good, a lot of people don't want to join. So knowing when your business has the good months and the slow months will help you manage that budget. Because I was spending a lot of the money that was coming in on new ads, on advertising, on everything, and I didn't anticipate for the slower months. So sorry to cut off that other question. I just thought that was important.
No, it's okay.
And how do we differentiate ourselves? I haven't seen any of my competition create actual platforms outside of their Discord. They have the Discord. They'll post education in the Discord, like I used to, which is not very impactful, not very organized. Now there's like quizzes after everything that we do. So we built a whole platform strictly for our education. And then we built a whole platform for a trading journal that I think is one of the most essential things for traders, which we also didn't have before, Greg.
I did it. Last was coaching me, so I had mine every day.
We had the one that we made with Excel that was like coded via Excel, but not like an actual one now.
Okay, so, that's awesome. I'll have to beta test the new one.
Journaling your trades has probably helped me excel a lot. It's helped me understand what time frame I like trading in. It's helped me understand that I don't like fast trades. It's helped me understand that I like to hold something for 2 to 3 weeks. It's made me understand my risk tolerance better. Like just going through my journals, I'm like seeing, oh, well, I traded that coin 5 times. If I just bought that first time and held the whole time, I probably would have made more. So I've just been learning a lot about my personality. And, the education that I was getting from my teacher, the weekly calls I was getting from my teacher, the slideshows he was making me, the content he was making specifically just for me, that's where I was learning. And then tracking and journaling all of my trades, again, from the Excel that he made me, that's where all of my growth was. And the Discord was just loud and active. And back in my day when I wasn't a teacher, I felt shy too. I'm like, I don't want to ask a dumb question. These guys are killing it. So that's what I needed to do. I'm like, well, these are the things that worked for me. Let me create these systems in place to work for the others. So that's what we've been doing year after year. This year, we just introduced the trading journal. And then last year we introduced the education platform. So now the Discord is super lean. It's for trading. It's for the live calls, and all the education and everything else is just done elsewhere. Just to again remove that. Whoa, this is a lot going on at once.
Something I have questioned about when I've been out of the Discord for about a year or two, but I think something that I was trying to do at the time, which now reflecting back was not really good practice and learning, was you used to have alerts from the different traders, I think. And I, let me just follow Art. And as soon as Art makes a trade, I'm going to make the same trade. And looking back, I'm like, that was not a good way, one, to execute, and two, to learn in the long run. So I guess my question is, do you guys still do trade alerts within Discord? And if so, like, how do you mitigate this problem that I had, which is like, let me just see what they're trading and I'll do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, we do still have that, and we do still have that certain customer that just does not want to learn and doesn't care to. That's totally okay. They have their own profession. They're doing very great in their career. They just want to follow. And we'll always have that type of customer. So I can't exclude that out. But one of the in big, bold, huge caps letters, it says, don't follow the alerts blindly. The key is to understand why we take the trades.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting. Use at your own risk, basically.
I'm super excited too, because you mentioned, you're around for 4 years and people follow momentum. And, we actually just touched almost all-time highs for Bitcoin. But what I'm excited about is actually the compound experience of your agency, right? So you build up the systems, the credibility, the reputation for that next wave, right? Or the next waves in like decades down the line. You're going to just get stronger and stronger and you're ahead of the game, right? Versus if you just started stock unlock in the next pump, then like you're right. You now have 4 years of a foundation that you can capitalize on the next pump.
What I'm seeing is a lot of the people that are signing up now, they're like, I watched you all last run. I kicked myself for not joining.
Exactly.
Now it's this run, so I'm joining. Something else too that I experimented with was turning off my monthly subscriptions. I did that for a year straight. I just reactivated them back in September.
What does that mean, turning off monthly for stock unlock?
Yeah, so you remember how you used to sign up for per month?
That's right.
Well, I noticed the 1 to 3 month mark was my highest drop off rate. After 6 months, it dropped off. After 12 months, it dropped off dramatically. I still have members who are here from day one. Day one. And the reason is because it's the normal psychological mindset. Okay, let me just give him $250. I'll go put $500 on a trade and try to make double my money, pay the $250.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is $500 is all they have, and let's say the one trade they take is a lose. They're like, oh well, this guy's a scammer. So I shut that off because I didn't want quick money people coming in. I needed to build, not to call my customers cheerleaders, but I needed to build stock unlock cheerleaders, and that's all we focused on for a whole year straight.
Okay.
Meaning so if people come in, it doesn't matter if I have 2-3 weeks bad straight, people will be like, dude, you haven't been here for the last 7-8 months. Do you know what these guys do?
Yeah.
So I focused on that, and I noticed that once they stayed and they were able to ride the certain waves and stay for the good momentum months, people didn't leave. They were educated. They understood that the market worked like a business. It has expenses. Our expenses were our losses. They started to understand that you operate trading just like a business, but no payroll, no inventory, none of that. Your losses are just your inventory.
So when you say you got rid of monthly subscriptions, do you mean you replaced that with annual subscriptions? Is that what you're saying?
So we always had monthly and annual on the website, but I just removed the toggle for monthly and only allowed yearly signups, and people were still signing up. So now we have, a good amount of members that are yearly only, and that number continues to grow, and that's what's been helping our overall flow and our overall bottom line is the amount of yearly subscribers that we have. And again, I love some of these people. They are just, again, the biggest cheerleaders for just stock unlocked overall. It's awesome.
That's super cool. No, that's great. It looks like you found a lot of different levers to not only increase your retention, but improve your engagement as well. With pricing being one of them. Something that I'm curious about too is it sounds like you're moving more into this platform model, which I think is interesting. So I'm curious, what is the goal then for the next 3 or 4 years? Now that you have this platform, and you have this beautiful engagement and community, how do those kind of meld, and what does the future look like with those two great levers?
So we're training up 2 other analysts right now. Gregory, you might recognize one, Pause. His name was Pause in the Discord. He's been with us the whole time. Pierce and Eduardo. Younger guys in their 20. Eduardo's really young. He's 21, but extremely talented. Started reading charts at 19. Pierce is older. also talented, understands everything. He does all of our customer service. He does the admins. He does the follow-ups with all the customers. The goal is to bring people up that we know have the same moral compass and can speak the same language, meaning they speak our like lingo. And have them to eventually be the forward faces while I become a legacy trader, Blastar becomes a legacy trader, and Semper becomes a legacy trader. It's kind of like, when like Gary Foose or even like Timothy Skies will go in their Discord and say one word and then everyone just freaks out. They're like, oh crap, like the OGs are here.
Yeah.
That's
What
awesome.
are they saying, right? So so we want to end up dialing back and put the younger people up front while of course still being in the back and being the legacy of it. And then we're going to start our own hedge fund. Specifically for crypto. Yeah.
For those out there, can you kind of give the 1, 2, 3 sentence version of what a hedge fund conceptually means?
Right. So a hedge fund is basically someone that will trade the market for you, invest in the market for you. Legally, I have not been able to do that, but legally, I've been able to do it with the crypto DAO, and I've only done it for 5 people. I've been very selective just because also DAO legal laws change often. It has to be people that I trust, and it has to be people that I know are well aware of the risk. And I've experimented with the DAO for actually 2 years now.
That's awesome.
And I'm very confident in that, knowing that we can now scale it up and make it into a much bigger model and take in more than 5 people.
I'm super excited about that. I didn't know that you're working on that. I'm gonna ask you more questions about that in the future. But something that struck me earlier was when you said you sold your Las Vegas business, and one of, I guess, my visions is like building and selling businesses, right? So although it's very different than Stock Unlock, but can you tell me more about like how you built up the Las Vegas business, and then what does that mean to like, how did you go about selling it? Did someone approach you? Did you find a buyer?
Yeah.
Like, what was like the negotiation like? Of course, you don't have to give numbers, but I'm just curious, like, did you get like 1x or 2x? Like all those things fascinate me because from all the books I've read, it's like the game, the upper level game is like buying, building, and selling businesses. So I'm always trying to pick people's minds about that.
I wish I could give you the more like super Shark Tank, really awesome sale version of that, but I can give you that for Stock Locked after, which how I see it going the next 16 to 24 months. But with the Las Vegas business, I had about 13,000 emails, and then I would just forward all my leads to a friend who. So to be an independent host in Las Vegas, you have to have a independent hosting license, and then you can get contracts with all the clubs, the restaurants, and the hotels to book all your customers. Those licenses weren't easy to get. You had to have an established book of business, which I did. 13,000 plus emails, and I was just so in love with the trading that I just didn't want to talk to like clients about clubs anymore. I was just so sick of it after 8-9 years. Just sending everything to my buddy. If he was just throwing me a small kickback, I wanted nothing to do with it anymore. So one day I was like, dude, I'm about to move to LA. I need like $6,000 for this. I was like, dude, I need like 20 grand. And if you worked my contact book, you could make 200 to 250K a year off of that.
Really?
If you worked my emails well, I just didn't care. I was like, dude, just give me the 20 grand. I'm going to get some sick furniture. I'm going to get a sick 49-inch monitor. I'm going to get everything I want. I'm moving to LA. I got 3 months of cash reserve and I'm launching Stock Unlocked. So I'm sure I could have sold it for way better. So I just didn't care. I was just so in love with the trading side. But for Stock Unlocked, I'm taking a very serious approach, like business deck, brand deck, all the numbers, speaking to VCs. I actually just met a VC at the airport on the way back home, and we were talking. And what's really excites me is the multiplier for a subscription-based model.
Yeah.
8x is on the low end, 12x is on the high end if you have a innovative product. And the guy that I was talking to, I was showing him the product, and he like was just loving it. He was going through it. His best friend is in crypto, which is a business partner. But they're older guys. You know, his best friend was just talking about XRP. I'm like, man, you guys got to catch up. That's so old already. Like, no one's thinking about XRP anymore. And, you know, he was basically telling me once you get to 1 million ARR, like any VC is going to love you. You're worth 8 million there on the low end. Any VC is going to want to talk to you. So that's the first goal, is to get to 1 million ARR. We're like 60-70% there.
Let's go.
And then, yeah.
When you say 1 million ARR, do you mean net or gross?
Gross.
Okay, and then the multiplier is on the gross, right?
Right.
That's sick. That's awesome, man. I mean,
that is.
I mean, maybe off of the pod, I have so many questions because this is an area that really fascinates me. And part of when we're building the business is like, you know, when people start businesses, they just do the mechanics of like, okay, this is our service or product, let's service it or sell it. But they really don't think about things like building up systems in the business, right? Because that's what investors actually want when they buy your business. They want to make sure that it's running, the people, the procedures, and like those are the things that really fascinate me. Is like, okay, are we hiring correctly? Are we automating things correctly? Are we building the correct systems? Like, those are the things that really fascinated me about building a business.
Yeah, that is a huge learning curve. And my systems were probably nothing the first year. And it just got better over time. And it was from like, okay, why are customers canceling? What's the issue? We started building ICPs, your ideal customer profile. And we kind of took like the best 3 like niched customers that we have. We saw who stayed with us the longest, and it was either someone who is already an entrepreneur, or who's in real estate, or is a higher level entrepreneur that kind of understand like risks and stuff. Those 3 tend to fit our ideal customer profile. People that understand that there's risk involved in life. People understand that it takes money to make money, especially at scale. So, you know, just building, you know, customer profiles, retargeting the right way. Silly stuff is like the first emails we sent out were beautiful, like the most beautiful looking emails. I'm like, no one in the game is making emails this pretty. But I'm like, why is our open rate like 15%? I'm like, why is everyone sending these emails that are just like plain black and white text? Well, I just found out that if you send too many photos via email, most emails will just bounce it. So I started removing images, and my open rate shot up like 20% the first time, and we just started like switching and switching.
I love that you know those things. That's funny. We've been going through that over the past year and a half, like learning the email drips and.
Oh yeah, I mean, what I think we've learned, or at least I've learned or internalized, is that, you know, business owners are just resilient scientists at the end of the day. It's just a big experiment, and you just have to have, you know, the perseverance and resilience to get through those experiments to see what doesn't. So I can't believe that actually it's already been 38 minutes. We have
wow.
It's gone by really fast, but to respect your time, for our kind of like wrap up question, I'm curious if there's any like kind of leftover or ending note that you'd like to say to the audience, if it's like trading advice, if it's business advice, if it's your favorite rom-com and why. Like, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So I am obsessed with Japanese culture and everything about that, because it was the Japanese rice traders that started the first futures market, that created the candlestick. So when I first started learning trading, my teacher would teach me a lot about the Japanese cultures. And in Japan, they have a proverb, Nano korebi yaoke, which means fall down 7, stand up 8. And it just means in life, you have to show extreme resilience and perseverance for anything good. And that stuck with me in trading, and that stuck with me in business. And I think that's why me being a trader and a business owner almost go hand in hand, because in trading, there's so many losses and so many failures that if you stop, you're stopping yourself from probably one of the coolest businesses ever that have unlimited potential in terms of how much you can make. And that goes in with life, in business, with every business I've had, I got knocked down 7 times and stood up 8, and it's only gonna keep getting that way. And the more you grow, the more you're gonna get beat up. It's, you know, I think being an entrepreneur is, you know, you guys might is, you know, it's just fucking up 9 times and then doing it right 1 time. So if you got to blurt that out, sorry, but
no, it's okay.
yeah.
Dude, so much wisdom. I'm very proud of where you've come, bro. It's super cool to see your growth. Shout out to Blastar, Ichini-san.
Yeah.
But before we go, you know, we're obviously drop your stuff in the description, but where can people find you?
You guys can find me at _, you know what? Just find me at Stock Unlocked, because my personal one is _ my last name, which is a little bit more complicated. So Stock Unlocked is super easy.
Awesome.
One word.
Hey man, for everyone out there, if you have any more questions, drop them in the comments and we'll relay them to Arthur.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we upload weekly, so don't forget to like,
subscribe,
and hit that bell notification.